The Oklahoma Sooners defense got dominated in the latest scrimmage. That's not something to be excited about.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire at USA Today Sports. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel over on YouTube. And on today's show, we're going to go through your fan feelings. It's a Friday. We talk about what you want to talk about in the third segment. In the second segment, Oklahoma's trending for a defensive line prospect in the 2026 class. We'll discuss that. But first, we're going to start with this. We talked about it on yesterday's show about how the offense dominated the defense, and that is the word being put out there by a lot of people. The offense dominated the defense. I don't think anybody, Jay, was expecting to hear that at all in fall camp.
No, because of what we dealt with last year was if you're hearing that the defense is going to dominate over and over, and most of, honestly, camp going all the way back into fall and spring camp, that's really what you heard a lot of was the defense was doing what they doing what we was kind of expecting to do. They were kind of running things the proper way. But this past one was different. And so thank you for holding things down. Yesterday, you did a fantastic job, especially breaking down how things went with the offense and the way the offense was actually out there dominating. What fans don't get is that, Brent Venables was pretty not only pissed off at his defense, but it's actually really good that your offense had a dominant practice because, again, going back to last year, John, we didn't have this. This is where everyone had their questions. They're like, all right, it's either one or two things. Either one, this defense is that good and the offense is just, still trying to mold. It's going to be forged in fire and it's be an iron sharpened iron situation. Or B, our defense is god awful and we should expect really bad things this season. And guess what? The offense was really bad. So because the defense was so dominant and just destroying them. And it wasn't like just it was literally all the time. It's all you kept hearing reports about. And so this scenario, hearing at least some sort of a balance, hearing from the first scrimmage, the offense opened up things strong. It kind of evened out in the middle. And at the end, the defense took over. And then this time hearing that the offense actually just took it end to end, bell to bell. That should be encouraging that Brent Venables went and got an offensive coordinator that could figure out how to get through his defense.
He's got an offensive coordinator that's got a little bit of an edge, and he doesn't want to just beat you. He wants to dominate you.
Yeah.
I think that's an exciting return to Oklahoma football. For the defense, though, man, like I don't want to hear days that you got dominated. That's not going to cut it in the SEC. Like we cannot go through a season and have a day in which you don't hold up your end of the bargain. If Oklahoma wants to contend, we cannot have days where we allow 40 points and win 42-40 or lose 40-37. Like we're not going to be able to contend for an SEC title, make the playoff, go win in the playoff if the defense isn't keeping teams under 30. And I think this is encouraging and exciting for the offense. I can't wait to hear how the defense responds because they're going to respond and they're going to respond in the right way. Those guys play with an edge. They play nasty. Will they be able to respond to the adversity? Because last fall camp, there was no adversity. There was no challenge from the offense that had to make them look in the mirror and say, okay, who are we? There was challenges throughout the season, but at time often in those games, like the Texas game, South Carolina game, LSU game, once the offense really started to struggle and the points started stacking up, 10-point deficit, 14-point deficit, the defense didn't really have to kind of keep playing because they knew that the offense wasn't going to be able to hold up or catch up, and the game was just kind of over. So I'll be curious to see how they respond, because you're going to need them to respond. If they have a bad drive, if they give up a big play, the defense is going to have to respond. And I think they're going to be mentally tough enough to do that. This is a team with new leadership, with Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman gone, Robert Spears-Jennings stepping into a leadership role, Kobe stepping into a leadership role, Kip, R. Mason Thomas, Dominic Williams, these guys, leaders on this defense. You need this defense to step up and be lights out every single week. They can't have off days.
I have to disagree with you there. It's not that they're going to have an off day. Having an off series here and there is going to happen, while at the same time, when you're doing scrimmages internally, the defense always has a quote-unquote advantage, unless the offense goes out there and completely changes the way they play and makes them think a lot differently. And that's the one thing that I sense out of this situation. Like you said, you've got an offensive coordinator with an edge. When Brent Venables was doing his research on who he wanted as an offensive coordinator, the names that were populating were guys that would typically give his defense a little bit of a problem. Guys that are creative, guys that would take a standard set and make it to where you have to think about where they're going to go. Also contextualize, not all the defensive players played. There were some players that did not play in the secondary. You start playing some of the young guys, which is good. You get the exposure that you need in order for them to be prepared to understand, hey, when you see a route like this, when you see a play like this is how you're going to prepare yourself. When you see the video, the propaganda machine that Oklahoma put out, you saw some tough passes and catches made. There's nothing you can do about that sometimes. Sometimes those contested passes that get caught, I mean, what are you going to do about it? Like, how do you keep those from happening besides continuously having super tight coverage like you did? So to me, it's less that I don't think it's a bad thing that the defense lost a scrimmage for a change. I think that that's a good thing, especially because this is the first time that we've heard that. This has been, and again, you still had players that didn't play. I don't expect that this to be a sign of times. I think it's more of hey, the offense actually found a way to crack the code. Now we can go plug those holes before the season starts.
Yeah, I think it says a lot more about the offense than it does about the defense, especially considering you're down your starting or projected starting offensive tackles, and they were still out there making plays. They were still out there dominating. And I don't think it says, hey, the defense is bad. I don't think it says that the offense is going to go light up the scoreboard and put up 50 points a game. I do think it says you've got an offensive coordinator and a quarterback with a killer instinct, and they're going to go put some points on you, and they're going to go for the jugular every time that they're out on the field. And if you are not ready and not prepared, or you have an off day, SEC defenses, you're going to get lit up.
You want that. You want to see that your offense can actually put up some numbers, especially with the hype that we're seeing that John Materia is really getting. That propaganda machines are truly turning up from all of the talking heads. Everybody's putting out. Heck, I just saw a prediction for Heisman for him not too long ago. We'll have to talk about that next week because that's a very interesting one. Because it's like, dang, you kind of jumped. You jumped a lot further into the water than I thought you did. It looked like you're out there for real swimming. You're deep sea diving. You scuba. Yeah. Got the scuba kit on. Got the oxygen tank, and you're going all the way in the water. You're about to go 50,000 feet under the sea. This is not what I expected. I did not sense anybody was going to go this far. But we're starting to see that. We're starting to see predictions coming out that high. So, yeah, if the offense is going to be anything in this conference, especially because we know the defense is expected to maintain its same status. Yes, you lose a Danny Stutzman, you lose a Billy Bowman, so there's going to be a lot of curiosity about what that's going to look like with their replacements. But the anticipation is they left it in good hands. They passed the mantle down to people to be leaders, and those leaders are going to step up. We expect Kip and Kobe to show up. We expect Samuel Siegel to show up. We expect Robert Spears-Jennings to be that vocal dude out there and help build up not only a Reggie Powers, but a Peyton Bowen and everybody else in that secondary in the safety room. So we expect, especially at corner, we expect corner to be way better than it was last year, even though Eli Bowen was really good as a true freshman. You expect that entire room to be much better with Dobie coming back and Gentry coming back. So because of that, the defense should be overall better compared to last year. And so I don't see it as a bad thing. I think it's a good thing that we have some balance here in practices, especially when we know that majority of the time the defense is still going to win because it's Brent Venables. He be doing stuff that be upsetting the OCs anyway.
Well, and not to say that the defense didn't have any moments, but Peyton Bowen, Michael Boganowski had interceptions in the scrimmage. So that's encouraging. Both one from John Mateer, one from Michael Hawkins. But your quarterbacks are going to throw picks, so don't get out over your skis over that. This is going to be a really good team. And if you are still hedging and you're still taking a wait-and-see approach, that's fair. You're allowed to do that 100%. This is going to be a really good football team, and we're going to have a lot of fun this fall. So thanks for being here on Locked On Sooners, and we're going to have it covered every single day. We're going to even have post-game live shows on Locked On Sooners every single weekend. So you got to be subscribed, because if you hit that subscribe button, it'll let you know when those live shows go live after the game, and we'll be breaking down everything that happened every Saturday afternoon, evening, late into the night sometimes, but we'll do it here on Locked On Sooners. Oklahoma's trending for a defensive line prospect in the 2026 recruiting class. Let's discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. As summer winds down, there's something nice about getting back into a routine you love, and Wayfair makes it easy to set yourself up for the season ahead. From bedding and linens to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair is your one-stop shop. If you're looking to lighten up the space inside your house with some better, lighter decor for fall, or you're trying to get your back porch set up for game day, got to go to wayfair.com. This is the perfect time that we're trying to get our home ready, whether that's organizing, upgrading our workspace, or making weeknight dinners easier. Get organized, refreshed, and back to routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The Oklahoma Sooners are now trending for James Carrington, the former Florida State commit. He had committed to Florida State back in June. I'm getting him and Braden Allen confused. Braden Allen was a July commit to Tulane. James Carrington was a June commit to Florida State. Decommitted from the Seminoles on Thursday. Steve Wiltfong of Rivals, also on 3 in some capacity, Rivals, issued a future cast favoring the Oklahoma Sooners for James Carrington.
Yeah, Oklahoma was in on Tank Carrington from back when he was a sophomore going into his junior year. He was pretty highly ranked. Georgia was heavy on him. He's got a very good offer sheet. And, Oklahoma was looking at him. They were actually going to bring him in for a visit. I remember he posted a picture on it, and I was like, okay, looks good. But then, he posted after that he won't be making the visit anymore. And I'm like, man, I was hoping that we're still going to be hunting him down. But again, his offer sheet's nice, including, the Florida State pledge. He had USC, Georgia, Oregon, Miami, South Carolina, Maryland, Notre Dame, A&M, Alabama, LSU, Michigan, Florida, Tennessee, Penn State, Ole Miss, Syracuse. Basically all the schools that are good when it comes to defensive linemen, especially tackles. And so he was one that was highly recruited, picked Florida State. And now it looks like, he decided to open it back up, and Oklahoma picked up the phone and said, hey, we got Jake Cruel in, and we're kind of ready to, add more and lock down some more of the spots that we really need locked down. And so if you can get James Carrington to flip, which the anticipation is that he decommitted and he could make a choice very soon. He's a 4-star over on ESPN, and he makes that change. You got what, T-Ron Richardson at the end of the month. So there's a possibility that Oklahoma could start wrapping up their recruiting here in August, kind of like I told all y'all they probably would. This is literally what Oklahoma does. They usually get their main dudes in August, usually late July, August, and then they go into the season with a couple more recruiting things that they're looking at. But yeah, that's typically how this always goes.
Yeah, he's a guy that Todd Bates has liked for a long time, and so it's not surprising to see them circle back to him. Maybe some of it was getting Jim Nagy on board as well, because we know that Oklahoma took a little bit different approach, or not maybe a different approach, but recalibrated on some of their recruiting board and some of their recruiting rankings, and seeing them circle back. I think it's a good thing. You know, you want to add interior defensive line depth. You've already got Brian Harris in the class. You got Jake Krell. You have Matthew Nelson out of Arkansas and Daniel Norman out of Florida. It's a really, really strong defensive line recruiting class. I think you need a little bit more interior, but you're still pretty young along the interior as well. So that gives a guy like James Carrington more time to physically develop his body to be able to play in the rigors of the SEC. You don't have to have him come in the 2026 season and be a day one impact player. He can keep working on his game, work on his body, and be able to contribute down the line, because you still have in 2026, crazy to think, you'll have Jaden Jackson and David Stone and Trent Wilson. And who knows if you go into the portal to add somebody as well. But defensive line is looking really, really good, man. Miguel Chavis and Todd Bates, you know, it might have taken them a few years, but they've done it, man. They've retooled Oklahoma's defensive line to where it's really, really good. And now, unless somebody is a legit stud, it's going to be unlikely to see guys come in day one and make an impact in that rotation. But I like James Carrington. I think he's got really strong potential. Just got to continue to see him develop. And this senior season is going to be huge for him. But yeah, there's a lot to like about what he's bringing to the table.
Yeah, it does. And you made a great point there. The one big thing that we've seen from Chavis and Bates is they've ramped up heavy on some of the talent. They've gotten some players to outplay their star numbers to the point of, if you have to get players that you're getting a combination of projects and players that you hope can play soon. And the way that room is lined up, you've still got at least one more year of Jaden Jackson and David Stone and Nigel Smith. So that's 3 interior guys with Marcus Strong. So that's your 4th. Trent Wilson's back there. That's going to be 5. Whomever you bring in, unless they're a super stud that you think's going to outplay Jaden Jackson, David Stone, Nigel Smith, as well as Marcus Strong, which is very unlikely. You're going to be trying to build in that depth in guys that you can, get to build up to be ones to come in and play. Maybe they can come in and, steal some minutes or not. You never know, but a few snaps here or there. But I think that Tank would be a good project. Get him bulked up. I think he's like 270 now. Get him bulked up to closer to 3. He can be more like a Dominic Williams size. I think Dominic is roughly about 6'2" as well, around the same size. If you can build him up there, you got yourself a nice one for the minute that Jaden Jackson and David Stone's gone, and then you can really start to continue to build behind them. So I expect Oklahoma to get at least 1-2 more interior guys just to fill that out. But yeah, it's gonna be a bit, I guess you could say, but I do like his potential. He was, like I said, he was very highly rated as a young guy. The biggest thing is he didn't grow since he's 6'2", kind of considered quote unquote undersized. But Dominic Williams is also, again, around 6'2". And he was very much very talented and very technically sound. So I think that Tank can get to that point, and he'll be a good piece on that line for years to come.
Yeah, height is not nearly as important as length, because you could play with really, really great leverage. Like Jaden Jackson is not a tall defensive tackle, but he's really technically sound, and he plays with great leverage, and he's just super strong
all the time. Goodness gracious.
Like low man wins, right? Along the offensive line or in the trenches or out in space, anywhere in football, low man wins. And if you can play with great leverage, great pad level, you're going to have a chance, even if you are a little bit undersized, quote unquote. But if he can get up to the 285, 290 range, keep his quickness, keep some athleticism and the agility, then he can play that 3 technique defensive tackle spot that lines up between the guard and the tackle. And he can be a difference maker, the Grayson Halton spot, right? The David Stone spot, kind of lining up in that, where your job, get upfield, penetrate, get into the backfield, make a play, as opposed to Jaden Jackson, Dominic Williams. Your job, hold up blockers eat up space, don't get pushed off your spot, make sure they designate 2 guys to block you every single time.
Exactly.
It's a little bit different of a job at the nose tackle 1 technique defensive tackle spot like Jackson and Dominic Williams play. But again, encouraging news for Oklahoma along the defensive line and with James Carrington. Again, this is a guy that they've liked for a really, really long time. Here's hoping they can land this commitment and then get that signature to signing day. Big week on the recruiting trail. Oklahoma is trending for several prospects. Talked about Braden Allen, the Tulane commit, 3-star wide receiver out of Louisiana. Don't sleep on those Louisiana kids. Built a little bit differently. So go check out that video yesterday where I talked about my favorite attribute of his hands. Dude has got some crazy, crazy hands. But coming up, we're going to go through your Friday fan feels here on Locked On Sooners.
August 26th is officially FanDuel's Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. So for just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you the deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champion before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So if you want to take a flyer on our guy Baker Mayfield for league MVP, I know that right now Lamar Jackson's leading the way at plus 430, which he most likely will probably win that. But hey, Baker's plus 250. Why not go for Baker Mayfield? Or you can crown your champion in August. Pick them Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go ahead and take that Super Bowl. Honestly, think the Ravens have the best chance. But hey, it does not matter. You can visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is 1 day and 1 day only. So FanDuel, play your game.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, remember, every Saturday this fall, we will break down the game with our live postcast here on the YouTube channel. The audio feed will drop after we record, but we'll have you covered with live reaction for every single game this fall. All Friday, or every Friday, as well, we're going through your feelings. How are you feeling about the Oklahoma Sooners? We'll do it through fall camp, and then as we go each game week, it'll be reaction to the previous week, excitement for the week ahead. We'll do that on YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Sooners on YouTube. But here is this week's first Friday fan feel. This one comes from Tony Yates. He says, if we can play consistently like we played against Alabama last year, we could beat any team and go undefeated. And if we keep that real positive, high energy level like Mateer has. He went on to say, we only have so many characters. He went on to say that everybody's got to donate that high level energy every single day for this team to be really, really good.
Undefeated's a little bold there on the take right
Let's
there.
go,
A little hard on the Beaver. Went a little hard on the Beaver there. But hey, I like the enthusiasm. I like the excitement because, it would be nice if we would get some of you fans on the train of believing of an undefeated season. Look, fandom is very tough for all of us because being a fan means that you have to have a slight amount of delusion regardless. Think about it. There's people that are fans of, teams like Rutgers. Right? You got fans at all these random schools out there. Hey. And, so in that case, Missouri hasn't won a championship ever. So you've got fans that actually follow that still nonstop and talk a lot of smack. But I digress. You got to have a little delusion. And it's good that some fans are starting to jump in the water with us because I do believe that there is a chance that Oklahoma could, shock a lot of people. Period.
What is fan short for, Jay? Fanatic, right?
Fanatic.
There's nothing reasonable about being a fanatic. Like, you have to have a little bit of seeing everything through your favorite school's colored glasses. And that's okay, man. That football is supposed to be fun. We're supposed to have an enjoyment level to this. A fan doesn't have to sit there and overanalyze or even analyze everything that happens on game day. My wife doesn't do that. My wife, she consumes content throughout the off season all the time, shows up on game day with this 100% unashamed support and positive outlook for her team. And anytime I get critical of Oklahoma, she's like, what are you doing? Aren't you a fan of that team? Like, she trolls me in the kitchen when I'm not being 100% supportive of the team.
Like the fans do in the comment section? Like
yeah,
how
exactly.
They troll you
exactly.
constantly?
I get it, like, in my face. It's like she's reading mean tweets. But, I mean, it's okay. Like, it's okay to have this excitement and be delusionally optimistic for your team. Do that. Support them. It's fun. It's fine. This one comes from Brent Chapman. Excited. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid to at least 8 wins. I think this is the trend, Jay. Everybody's feeling like that floor is 8 wins for this team.
I like that. I think of a floor of 8 is a solid number, mainly because you're going to hear in the media over and over and over and over and over and over again that the schedule is really tough. So, of course, every single person is going to believe, all right, well, the schedule being as hard as it is, at most you're going to be able to get, 8 is going to be really just hard to grind out. To me, I don't think that 8 is going to be that hard. I think 11 will be hard. I think 10 is where we could probably sit. 9 should work too. Again, I'm going to repeat over and over to y'all. We're seeing a bunch of new quarterbacks. Teams are still trying to figure out who their starting quarterback is going to be. That, to me, gives you an opportunity, especially if you catch them early, kind of win a lot more games than expected. Heck, y'all, I know a lot of y'all synced that video of Hugh Freeze throwing his hat at a particular quarterback because he didn't want to get rid of the ball. So understand that that ain't the only team that's having some issues or struggles figuring out what the quarterback situation is going to look like. Just know that's not the only one. But I digress. 8's a good number. I think that's a safe number to feel good about. We should have won 9 last year. But we definitely could finish the year easily with double digits.
People act like Oklahoma's never played a tough schedule before. They have. Like, go to the early 2000s, right? The Big 12 was a really good conference.
Gauntlet.
Maybe the dominant conference in college football from like 2000 to 2006 or 7.
Till Saban showed up,
Yeah, till Saban showed up, and they were running roughshod. Like, they were holding up. And who was here for that? Brent Venables was here for that. So I feel pretty okay that they're going to be able to figure it out with a good defense and a good offense. Like you said, Jay, this team was an offense with a pulse away from being an 8 or 9 win team last year. And they have an offense with more than a pulse. This thing is cardiovascularly ready to run a marathon. And so I'm liking where we're headed. Counting Threes says, I don't think I've ever been more excited for a season. This might be a good debate here for next week, is which season does this feel like, or is there a season we've been more excited for in the past? Now, we're a little bit older, so we might have some other seasons that we were more excited for than this season, but we might talk about that. He says anything less than 8-4 is unacceptable. Even 8-4 would have me a little disappointed. It's from Counting Threes, and I think he nailed it from downtown.
Yeah. Definitely, from way downtown, bang on that one, because that is exactly how I felt when I read the person say that 8-4 was the floor. Yeah, I get it. You want to have some realisticness in there to go inside of your sunshine pumping. You want to make sure that you pop a little realist peel or a realist cloud to go into the pump to make sure that it balances out some of the sunshine that's coming through. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of rainy day in there. You got to have that to, like I say, it balances out the feels that you have. But yeah, 8-4 feels just too low for me. I need 9-3. Last year, you could have won 8 games. Give me that additional one to show me you got an improvement. Mm-hmm. So that gets you to 9. 9-3 to me should be the floor. 10 wins should be your expectation. 11 is what you hope for the most. And, the first post about being undefeated, yeah, baby. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, you feel what you feel, and your feelings are real. From Frozen 2. I don't know if you guys like that one or not, but I mean, everyone's going to feel how they feel about this team. I think still coming out of the 2024 season, there's a lot, and at times myself, depending on the day, because I'm a very emotional roller coaster. Again, my wife will tell you, but
he is an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, this team has a lot going for it going into the season. And a lot of it is because that defense is going to be so stinking good.
So much fun.
And the offense is going to be really good too. And so you can afford a series where the offense maybe doesn't perform or the defense doesn't perform, because there's going to be bounce back performances quarter to quarter, series to series, that consistently, game to game, this thing is going to look like a really, really good product and be a lot of fun. This last one comes from Adam Sanders. He says 10-2 and the playoffs are on the way. Boomer!
Ooh.
Sooner, Adam.
There you go. I like that, Adam. That's a good feeling there. I'm glad that some fans are starting to jump on that bandwagon of going to 10. And 10, there's been a few people that's proclaimed that Oklahoma's going to shock a lot of folks and that they could end up in the playoffs. I'm kind of leaning more and more that direction. I'm thinking next week we'll probably give our full-fledged predictions as we go into the actual game week. Gosh, I cannot believe we're saying game week.
Week
that is
0
just bananas to me. Week 0 begins. Man, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. But yeah, I'm leaning heavily in on that number this year because the confidence level is a lot higher. The offense is competent. It is. When you go, and we got to talk about some of the propaganda that they put out. When you watch some of those videos, like what you're seeing out of it, John, I'm catching all kinds of stuff. I'm just like, oh, we didn't do much of that last year. Mm-hmm. Oh, that looks really good. Oh, he's ready to play now? Just blowing up. So, to me, 10-2, playoffs. If we win 10 games, we're making the playoffs, period. Because, because of all of the built-in, the schedule is so tough, people. Yeah, they better not take that away from us.
Well, if you go 10-2 with any SEC schedule, you're making the playoff.
Yep.
I don't care if you have
I will
Texas
fight somebody
schedule
if they say we don't.
Or Oklahoma's schedule. 10-2 is getting you into the playoffs. 9-3 might. I still question that based on last year. We'll see if the committee reevaluates how they choose playoff teams. But I think 10-2 is a greater possibility. It's 100% a more likely possibility than this team going 7-5 or worse, in my opinion. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure you follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube, where he has more college football coverage and Oklahoma Sooners coverage for you over there. You can follow me at John 9 Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner. 11-1. Let's
go.
Get the 11-1 train going.
Choo choo.